Good evening and welcome to the Seneca Scout. I'm Nick Schuster.
And I'm James Rickard. And after several weeks of weather-related issues, we're back for our second to last show of the year. It's been an incredibly busy few weeks in the world of news. While you've most likely heard a lot about the weather on the East Coast, tortured siblings in California, the president's rhetoric regarding immigrants, the fate of DACA recipients, and thawing relations between the two Koreas ahead of the Olympics, we will try to bring you some stories that you may not have heard as much about.
We begin tonight with tech news. Once a year, the world comes together at Las Vegas for an event unlike any other. Held yearly at Las Vegas Convention Center, the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, brings the largest innovators and manufacturers together to show off their new technology. Started in 1967, the Consumer Electronics Show has been the home for many important products, such as the home VCR, the Blu-ray player, Commodore 64 computer, and Windows XP. This year, the focus is largely on two things. The first is the new televisions with OLED panels, bringing the focus. The second is cars, where manufacturers are bringing forward electronic self-driving vehicles. The biggest company to watch this year is Byton. Byton is an electric car startup promising $45,000 crossover with a unique interior design. Other features include camera replacing side view mirrors and a facial recognition system for entering the car.
Moving on to politics, we're going to be discussing an issue that has been sparking a lot of debates. Last week, U.S. Senator Rand Paul took part in a press conference with a bipartisan group of senators and House representatives to oppose the long-term expansion of warrantless surveillance by the U.S. government. Senator Rand Paul has been leading the charge on reforming the Foreign Surveillance Act known as FISA. Nick, what's your understanding of the issue, and how will FISA affect us as Americans?
FISA, like you just stated, is the Foreign Surveillance Intelligence Act, and what it does is it gives intelligence agencies such as the NSA, CIA, leniency on obtaining warrants to surveil foreigners overseas. Now, the reason there's so much debate over this is because there's a section in FISA called Section 702, which in this section, it gives also leniency to intelligence agencies to spy on Americans as well. And that's the main fear here, that Americans' Fourth Amendment rights are being violated.
So what's going on, and what will change if the bill passes? And what happened in terms of the filibuster last night?
Last night, the filibuster was defeated in the Senate through a vote 60 to 38. The last holdout was Senator John Kennedy, and he voted with voting for the ending debate, and the vote is today on the bill, and most likely there will not be any amendments to protect Americans' Fourth Amendment rights because they will not be able to get the amended bill quick enough to the House.
That's interesting news. Thank you for that, Nick. Now moving on to national news. 20 people have died and several more are still missing or unaccounted for as a result of mudslides in flooding California last Tuesday. In addition, a large number of houses have been destroyed due to the slides. The mudslides were caused by recent heavy rains that California has seen, and they were just another national disaster on the list of those things that have ravaged the state in recent weeks, including massive wildfires just last month. Flooding in the area is at a higher risk as a result of these wildfires. Prior to the storm, Santa Barbara County in California issued an evacuation notice for some residents in the area. And there were some areas within the county under a boil water notice following the mudslides. Several celebrities own houses in the areas that were affected by the mudslides include Rob Lowe and Ellen DeGeneres. Rescuing crews searched for survivors after the storm had gone.
Continuing with more national news, officials met last Tuesday discussing the potential drilling of oil off the coast of Florida. Interior Secretary Ryan Zink announced the plan for oil drilling last week, but after protests from Republican Governor Rick Scott, he was persuaded to retract the idea. Governor Scott cited Florida's tourism industry as the most important reason against oil drilling. The plan was also opposed by 60 environmental groups because of the drilling would cause environmental damage to the coast. Zink explained that the original plan for Florida would help boost jobs and economic security, while at the same time providing billions of dollars to help fund conservation along the U.S. coastlines.
The new year brings with it the annual award season for the film industry. It's been a controversial and turbulent year in Hollywood, and now Megan Smeltzer has a recap of the significance of this year's Golden Globe ceremony.
In a sea of black at the Golden Globes, one clear message was shining through. Time's up. The Golden Globes, which had their 75th show this past Sunday, was the first awards show of the season, and Hollywood made sure it was a night to remember. The Time's Up movement was started by actress Reese Witherspoon and her inner circle. What started as small conversations about how to make a difference in Hollywood turned into one big meeting of powerful women who decided that they were going to make a difference this new year.
I got an email from a group of women, Michelle Williams and Meryl Streep and Reese Witherspoon.
So what is the Time's Up movement? While wearing black, men and women of Hollywood spoke about why they're standing up against sexual assault in the industry.
We're wearing black in solidarity.
Well, I just felt like it was time. It just felt like the right moment, that we just couldn't be business as usual during award season, that we had to speak up and say something for the abuse of power within our industry and every industry that's coming forward.
This stuff is no longer okay.
I think there's a celebration going on. It's like a battle cry. There's a real resilience happening today.
Which is time's up on imbalance of power and abuse of power.
And I think it's time for the rest of us to listen.
This is a movement where there's space for everyone and there's a role for everyone.
The ceremony, hosted by Seth Meyers, was all types of historic. Sterling K. Brown made history as the first ever black actor to win an award for Best Actor in a TV Drama at the Golden Globes.
What I appreciate so much about this thing is that I'm being seen for who I am and being appreciated for who I am.
8 actresses even brought prominent feminists as their dates. Among those included founder of the Me Too movement, Tarana Burke, who accompanied Michelle Williams, Native American activist Kalena Lawrence, who went with Shailene Woodley, and Aijin Pu, the director of women's workplace equality group Domestic Workers, who attended with Meryl Streep. The Golden Globes said goodbye to Miss and Mr. Golden Globes and introduced the first ever Golden Globes ambassador. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's daughter, Simone Garcia Johnson, was elected in that role. While being a part of ceremonial duties last Sunday, she will also engage in the Hollywood Foreign Press's philanthropic efforts. Despite the fact that there were some obvious flaws,
And here are the all-male nominees.
But don't worry, he'll be back in 20 years when he becomes the first person ever booed during the In Memoriam. It'll sound like that.
I was the only woman to get the Best Director award. That was 34 years ago. Folks, time's up.
the 75th Golden Globes were still a great night for women. Arguably the most notable occurrence of the night was Oprah Winfrey's win of the Cecile B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award. She used this platform to preach her support for a change in Hollywood. With the Academy Awards approaching soon, Hollywood is in its busiest time of the year. With the Golden Globes coming in strong, the expectations for the rest of the award season are now increasingly heightened. This has been Megan Smelser. Now back to the studio.
Thank you for that interesting information, Megan. Now moving on to local news. A mixed development called Glass House is being built at Station Square that will be providing 320 new apartments. The residents of these apartments will also have access to a pool, a 335-space garage, and outdoor kitchen and dining areas. Glass House is being built on site where there was once a large sandbar, and archaeologist Christine Davis will be searching the site for glass artifacts. Glass House is also being built along the Great Allegheny Passage, a popular bike trail that goes from Pittsburgh all the way to Washington, D.C. The tenants will have access to their own free on-site bike program through Healthy Ride. Construction has already begun and it's estimated to be completed in 2019.
Thank you, James. Now we move on to news within our own district. This year, the IHS has had a new molecular genetics lab. In mid-December, the lab piloted a human genotype for a PTC taste testing. This was done by a group of the purpose of students who used their own DNA to complete it. Here's Mr. Lavelle, a biology teacher, on more about the lab.
My name is Tom Lavelle. I teach at Seneca Valley IHS. I'm also one of the teachers who supervises our new molecular genetics lab. And the scope of this lab is to introduce students to various technologies, to give them experiences normally reserved for later in college. And this year we are putting genes into bacteria from coral. We are also isolating genes from students and making copies of them and observing them through some of our other equipments and a few other things as well.
He, along with Ms. Geis and Mrs. McMurray and Dr. Karen Resendels from Westminster College, worked with the students and led the lab. Students accomplished this by swabbing and isolating their cheek cells, heating up and cooling the shells rapidly, this breaking apart the genetic material. Lastly, they ran through it through gel electrophoresis, which gives them the results of either having the gene or not to taste the sour substance.
And last but certainly not least, today SVTV students and alumni will be showing their films for the annual SVTV 24-hour film competition. Let's take a look back at the making of these films.
Last month, during the 15th and 16th of December in 2017, teams of current and former Seneca Valley students all participated in the annual SVTV 24-hour film competition. Teams of up to 10 students compete to create a story in 24 hours. It begins when students receive the genre of film, required character, prop, and line they need to have in the film. And the film had to be finished and uploaded by 12 p.m. on the following day. 2 teams of current students, Team Ladies and the Boys, and the C-47s competed in their division, and 5 alumni teams competed in theirs. Each team had a turbulent production. First, we will take a look at the C-47's production.
My name is Jack Reynolds, and our team for the 24-hour film contest was the C-47s. Our required prop was a can of soup, our genre was film noir, our required character was Randy Clemens, who is a submissive co-worker, and then our line of dialogue we had to have was, "You're not going to find what you're looking for." We all met at about 11 a.m. At noon, we got our information, and we started writing. About 3 hours later into the writing, we started prepping, finding actors, things like that we needed. Around 9 p.m., Timmy began vomiting violently due to food poisoning. And we started filming. We shot till around 1 a.m., and then Eric Rusnak showed up at 12:30. From there, he edited for 5 hours, and then Coda and I woke up when he was done, and we got to work after that.
Blue, and I'm Brianna Ways. I wrote the script that we kind of strayed from a lot, and I also acted.
I acted mostly, and I think I provided transportation. We went to Zelienople. My dad has an office, and we filmed some office scenes that did not make the final cut. It was a lot of fun because I've never done stuff with SVTV or like anything arts related at Seneca other than chorus, and I thought it was really interesting to see how you actually like film something like that.
The work part, aside from getting to cuddle this beam all night, I'd have to say it's just getting to be with my friends for 24 hours straight.
The 24-hour film competition has been going strong for 7 years, and the tradition is passed down to the underclassmen and the seniors groups. Tomorrow, January 17th, will be the showing of their videos for all groups, and the videos have been kept secret so everyone is in the dark about all the other films. This is Liz Karoma signing off for Seneca Scout.
And that's all we have for you this evening. Thank you, and thank you for tuning in, and be sure to tune in for our final show next week. I'm Nick Schuster.
And I'm James Rickard. Thanks for watching.